Welcome to Spartan SportsBeat. I'm Steve Balson, bringing you the latest in the world of St. Thomas Aquinas College athletics. In this edition, we'll turn our attention to the hardwood and the sport of men's basketball as we're joined first today by the head coach of the STAC men's basketball team, Dennis O'Donnell. Coach, thanks for coming by.
Steve, thank you for having me.
Coach, you have been at the helm almost a quarter of a century. It's hard to imagine, 22 years at the helm of St. Thomas Aquinas College. Tell us a little bit about your background during that time and what it's been like to be in one place for that long.
Basically, that means I'm old. I just realized that. It was the summer of 1991. I had just completed, I think that was my 9th season back at Elizabeth Seton College in Yonkers. The St. Thomas Aquinas job opened up. I had been a finalist in 1988 and I didn't get it. Coach Holford got the job. But in 1991, Ms. Vanna was the AD, Dr. Shalene was the Dean of Students, and Dr. McNeilis was the president. And they took a chance on a young coach, and the rest is history. Here I am. Well,
the rest is certainly a history that's lasted over 2 decades, and you've gotten to see a lot of people come and go, both students and administrators, not just in the school, but in the conference. How has the conference changed? Obviously, you started with the program in NAIA and then transitioned to what was then the New York Collegiate Athletic Conference, now the East Coast Conference. What has that progression been like for you?
Well, I mean, over the years, the basketball has been excellent. I mean, the coaches, the players, the administrators and stuff like that, there really is, we do the best we can to beat up on each other during the game, but there's a tremendous amount of camaraderie. And if I was thinking of the best game or the worst game, I don't think I could do that. Yeah, I just kind of focus on all the kids I've been blessed to have.
And what was the transition like? You started with the program at the NAIA level. What were your thoughts on moving to NCAA Division II then? And in retrospect now, how do you think it's been?
It was very interesting. When I first started here, the first 2 years, we were members of the Central Atlantic Collegiate Conference, but we played in what was called District 18 of the NAIA. We played Division I basketball back then. So we joke, and I still joke with the guys that were on those first 2 teams, that we spent the entire academic year on buses. We bussed out to Westminster College in Pennsylvania, Pitt Bradford, St. Vincent's out in Latrobe. We were all over the country. I mean, all over the Northeast anyway. We had some success, but I didn't make it to the NAIA National Tournament until we were back in Division II of the CACC with Dominican and Nyack and everybody. And that would have been 92, 93, I think.
Well, you've gotten to see a lot of athletes come and go, and you've seen the other programs in the conference and in the region change a lot. What are some of the challenges that you face as from a competitive standpoint and a recruiting standpoint in building a program at this level?
Well, from the very, very beginning, as a very, very young coach, some of the older coaches that I knew were the first to tell me that you're not going to outcoach anybody. You know, recruiting is the most important thing that you're going to be doing. And over the years, what we've all noticed, especially with the NCAA initial eligibility rules, is that the talent pool becomes smaller and smaller every year. You have so many good athletes, and there are now more Division I schools in the area than there ever were in the past. And, you know, rightly so, kids want to go Division I. So that whole top part of the talent pool is looking to go Division I. So the hard job is to identify the kids that will eventually end up in Division II. And then I think all of the schools, both in the Northeast 10 and the CACC and the ECC, we see each other not only when we play, but we see each other in everybody else's gym recruiting the same kids. And that's actually a blessing. I mean, to be able to go into a kid's house or into a school and to tell the story of St. Thomas Aquinas College to try to get that kid to come here is pretty good.
And to follow that thought, there are differences in facilities, of course, across the conference, differences in levels of grant assistance that are available at the various institutions. How do you pitch? What is that St. Thomas Aquinas story that you tell to prospective student athletes and, more importantly, their families?
You're going to be talking, I think, with Sam Wilson and Omar Kelman in a little while. And before practice every day, before every game, they all put their hands in the middle and we say 1, 2, 3, and the word that comes out is family. So the first thing that you talk with a kid about when you go into their house or when you talk to their parents is that we're going to have our ups and our downs. You're going to struggle in some classes and you're going to excel in others. But you have your home family, you're going to have your St. Thomas Aquinas family, and you're going to have your Spartan family.
as someone personally who's been in athletics about that long, over 2 decades myself, you're one of the
But
few
you started
coaches.
when you were 10, so you're in good shape.
Clearly. You're one of the few coaches that I have ever seen, perhaps the only one I can recall, who likes to talk about his own players on senior day. It's kind of a bit of a different twist. Most coaches delegate that to an announcer or someone of that sort. When you're on the floor and you talk about those athletes year in and year out, there just seems to be such a genuine emotion and feeling. What is that like for you? Is it that bittersweet moment? Put us in Dennis O'Donnell's shoes when you're on the floor talking about your seniors on any given senior day.
The background of that, okay, when I graduated from St. John's in 1980, where I watched Coach Carnesecca for 4 years. And then I got my master's degree from Notre Dame. And the geography there is important because every summer school would end the last week in July, and Coach Ray Meyer from DePaul used to have a camp up in Wisconsin for a lot of Chicago's kids. And I wrote to him, he invited me up there, and he taught me something very, very important, and I actually quoted it on Senior Day this year. If you can't hug them, pat them on the back, and brag about them, you don't want them on your team. And being a basketball coach, being any coach, I think you have to have the same traits as you would if you were a parent. The most important fundamental ingredient in success in coaching is you have to love your kids. And so what do you want to call it? It is genuine. I love bragging about them. I love talking about them. Over the years, and I think, I started coaching high school in 1980. So, I mean, this is probably my 32nd year. And if I look at the long view, basketball has been very, very good to me. Now, clearly, it hasn't been good to me these past 2 or 3 seasons, but it has been very, very good to me. And the reason it's been good to me is I've always had great kids.
Well, Dennis O'Donnell, certainly it has been a pleasure in my brief time relatively working with you here at St. Thomas Aquinas, and we know that being part of that family is a very important thing to you and everyone who comes through. We wish you and your program all the best in the years to come.
Steve, thank you very much, and go Spartans.
Dennis O'Donnell, head coach of the St. Thomas Aquinas College men's basketball team, joining us today on Spartan Sports Beat. We're going to be back with more. We'll have Omar Kelman joining us in just a moment. Stay with us. And welcome back to Spartan Sports Beat. Steve Balson here at Spartan Studios. We're joined today by a member of the St. Thomas Aquinas College men's basketball team, Omar Kelman. Omar, thanks for stopping by.
Not a problem, thank you.
Omar, you're in your junior year now, just wrapped up your junior season at St. Thomas Aquinas. First, let's go back a little bit and talk about what you did before in high school in terms of playing career, or what led you to come to St. Thomas Aquinas.
Well, I went to All Hallows, which is part of the Catholic High School League. I was a 1,000-point scorer there, 3 years varsity, second team my senior year, so had a pretty decent, high school career. Took my team to the Final Four both my junior and senior year.
And what was the recruiting process? What was it like with Coach O'Donnell and members of the staff that made you decide that St. Thomas Aquinas is where you wanted to be?
Well, growing up in the Castle Hill section of the Bronx, there's a guy named Kenny Robinson. He actually played for Coach Hewlin in the 80s, I think. And he was my mentor, and just going through college letters and recruitment options, and he just kept telling me, just check STAC out, just check STAC out. And then coming up here, I met with Steve and Vince and Jamie, and those guys really made me feel comfortable, and I felt like STAC was a place to be for me. And
now that you've been here working on 3 full years, how do you feel about that choice that you've made and your role in the school as well as the program?
I feel like I've made an excellent choice. I feel very comfortable being here. I wouldn't change it at all.
Now, those of us who've been around the program and have gotten to watch you progress and mature have seen where you've come since your freshman year. What was it like for you to come in here as a freshman and see what the East Coast Conference was like? Was that kind of an awakening for you as a sense? Because you had a great high school career, and now all of a sudden you're playing Division II college ball. What was that like for you?
It was definitely an eye-opening experience, seeing a lot of guys who were bigger and stronger than me. In high school, there weren't too many guys that were built like me, so I felt like coming into college, I'd be able to dominate. And then actually sitting back and just watching, guys on other teams, especially Bridgeport, CW Post, watching those guys, and especially like watching Neverson from Queens, it was kind of like, wow, I have a lot of work to do. So I spent a lot of time off season, trimming down and trying to just get bigger.
And was that something that the coaching staff put on you, or was that something that you knew internally that you had to do? You came in noticeably more fit and ready for that sophomore year, especially.
It was a combination of both. You know, I just felt like I had a lot more of a role to contribute to the team. So I felt like, you know, with the weight issues that I had freshman year, I felt that if I lost the weight, you know, I got into better shape, I'd be able to contribute more on the court and help the team as best as possible.
Well, there may have been another time specifically, but one game comes to mind, and that was an overtime contest out at Malloy College that was a conference broadcast that you really just seemed to come into your own. Was there any turning point, or was there a time that you said to yourself that you knew you could not just compete but succeed at this level?
That game definitely helped to propel me, you know, to play at a higher level. You know, a lot of the guys on the team they always told me that I was capable of doing it, and it was just, you know, that game just happened to come, and it actually just helped a lot.
This year, you've been one of the key players on the team along with Justin Brown. There's a big group of seniors this year, and next year that mantle is going to fall onto you as part of the senior group. Talk a little bit about that group this year, not just Justin Brown, but Nick Lopez, James Akame, the players that you've looked to for leadership.
You know, definitely, I look at Nick as like the warrior and the glue, you know, to the team. You know, he definitely holds everybody together, keeps everybody calm. You know, James was the point guard. You know, he had his heart issue. You know, we definitely missed him. You know, we battled without him. And Justin's just been the leader on and off the court. He's the quiet leader, but he definitely leads by example. So I guess those are the shoes that I'm going to have to fill next year along with Sam.
And does that set the bar for you? Is that something that you're conscious of now, or are you just going to focus on going out and playing your game?
It's a combination of both. I feel that, you know, I have to lead by example. You know, being here for 4 years, you know, I have, you know, incoming freshmen, you know, juniors, sophomores that are, you know, going to be moving up. And I feel like I have to lead by example because, you know, I have been here, and I know the coaching staff as well as my teammates, they definitely rely on me for a lot.
The team has had its tough moments. It's been one of the competitive squads in the conference and has lost some tough close games, so the record isn't necessarily indicative. What goals would you set for yourself and for the team for next season, your senior year?
For myself, I would say just focusing more on defense, you know, and it's definitely for the team. You know, we had our struggles. You know, there were a lot of games that we battled, and you know, a couple of defensive stops here and there would definitely change the record around. So I figure if we focus on defense, you know, we all work together, you know, helping each other out. If a man gets beat, early help, early recovery, that's something Coach definitely preaches. If we just work on that, then I feel like we'll be able to get over the hump and finally get into the playoffs.
And that's got to be the big challenge is to get into that postseason tournament, and that's a place where I know that the squad hasn't quite gotten yet in your tenure here.
Yes, that's definitely a goal.
Well, we know it's going to be out there, and certainly with your leadership as well as that of your coach and your teammates, that you have every chance in the world to get in there, and we wish you the best of luck, not only then, but in the future. Omar Kelman, thanks for coming by today.
No problem.
Omar Kelman of the St. Thomas Aquinas College men's basketball team. We're not done just yet. We're going to be joined by Sam Wilson, who will be coming up next. This is Spartan Sports Beat. Stay with us. And back here at Spartan Studios, this is Spartan Sports Beat. Steve Paulson here, and today we're focusing on STAC men's basketball. We're joined today by the point guard of the St. Thomas Aquinas men's basketball team, Sam Wilson. Sam, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Sam, a pleasure to have you in. Now, we'll talk a little bit about this season in just a moment, but first, you're entering actually your second season in uniform with the Spartans. Tell us a little bit about your high school career first and what it was that brought you to St. Thomas Aquinas.
I went to St. Joseph High School in Trumbull, Connecticut, coached by the legendary Vito Montelli. I came to St. Thomas Aquinas College thanks to a man called Coach Mike Brown. He's a local recruiting coach and throughout the area, and he talked to Coach Dennis O'Donnell about me. Coach O'Donnell reached out to me, asked me to come out for a workout, and ever since then I've just been here.
Did you have any exposure being a Connecticut native with the University of Bridgeport or the ECC? Were you familiar with the programs or the conference at all, or was it a new experience for you?
I wasn't too familiar with the ECC conference. I knew a lot about University of Bridgeport. I knew that they were a very well-known team throughout the area. I didn't know that they were such a top team like they were in the conference, but I'm happy I still made the best choice coming here to St. Thomas Aquinas.
You've been here now, you're just wrapping up your second season with the Spartans men's basketball team. What has that experience been like for you both as a player and as a student?
Well, like you said, I have played the last 2 years, but I have been here 3. So the last 3 years have been a wonderful experience. I've learned a lot on and off the court from all my teammates, Jamie Blanchard, Justin Brown, The list goes on and on. But I'm just thankful that I'm able to share the memories with these guys.
And of course, you've had the opportunity to play under a veteran coach like Dennis O'Donnell and in an established program. Was that something that for you as a high school athlete that you thought you would be able to play at the Division II level, or was that something that maybe surprised you a little bit?
I was shocked at first that the school was D2. Coach Mike Brown didn't tell me too much about the school. He just asked me to come up here for a workout. But when I found out that the school was D2, I realized that I had to take my game to the next level. And I've been working hard ever since then to make sure I've been doing the right things to get my game into the best it could possibly be.
Well, last year you were spotted in your first season on the court as a reserve point guard. You got to show off a lot of your quickness on the floor, which is clearly a big asset for you. But this year your role changed a lot when James Ockamy, the starting point guard, went down with a physical ailment. Tell us about that sequence for you. Was that a big surprise? What kind of effect did that have on you?
When James went down, it was a shocker. I didn't know he had a heart condition. So the next day when Coach told me I'm starting because James wasn't able to play, I just realized I had to step up, be able to make plays, the right plays at the right time, get the ball to the right players, and be able to, not be able to pick up for his loss. He was a big asset to this team, but I learned a lot stepping into the starting position once he went down, and I think it would get me ready for next year.
Was that a big adjustment for you, coming from a place where you're coming off the bench into that starting role? Did it change the way you played at all? Did you have to pace yourself, or was it pretty much you just going out there and being able to play your game?
It definitely changed the way I played. Coming off the bench as a reserve, you just want to come in and just keep up the pace, keep the game steady. But now as a starter, you have to make the right decisions. You don't want to start the game off lackadaisical. You want to be able to gain a lead right from the beginning and, help everybody, make sure everybody gets the ball and gets their touches and gets their points and keep everybody happy on and off the court.
From a conditioning standpoint, was it more difficult for you or different at all in terms of minutes played, or were you ready for that to step into that role?
From a conditioning point, I did get tired a few games. Coach had me out there for about 40 minutes most of the time, but I still had to pick up the pace, still had to play hard and go out there and work my butt off. And
that feeds into the next question, where you're increasing your playing time so much. What was it like for you mentally to have to run that point and know that you really didn't have a true point guard in reserve on the bench?
I know we had people that could pick up the slack even if I did get hurt, like Eddie Johnson, Bradley Saxton, but I just wanted to make sure I stayed on the court and just keep things rolling no matter what happened.
Now you have 2 more years left in uniform. Tell us about what you expect to see, where you'd like to see the program go, and of course losing Justin Brown as a senior this year among a group of seniors, Nick Lopez being another one. So there's going to be some more change in the program next year. Where do you think the program is going to go, and where do you see your part being in it?
Well, it's going to be sad to lose Justin. He's been like an older brother to me. Also losing Nick, Dane, Charlie, Flynn, and James as well. It's going to be sad to lose them, but they've all helped me grow my game. But next year I see us at least making the playoffs. We have the team. Hopefully we'll get the recruits that want to come in and work hard as well. And we could do it if we just keep our minds focused and work our butts off.
Well, we're certain that your focus is going to help the team get to where they want to go, which is the postseason and hopefully a lengthy run in that postseason. Along with you and your teammates, Sam would like to wish you the best going forward.
Thank you very much.
Sam Wilson of the St. Thomas Aquinas College men's basketball team here joining us today on Spartan Sports Beat. That wraps up today's edition. We want to thank our guests, the head coach of the Spartans, Dennis O'Donnell, Omar Kelman, and Sam Wilson for coming in today to talk about the STAC men's basketball program. Spartan Sports Beat is a production of the St. Thomas Aquinas College Department of Athletics and JHP Production. Until next time, this is Steve Bolson from Spartan Studios, thanking you for joining us and saying so long until next time.